Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tipsy Chef. Today I'm going to be nostalgic. You know, I cook what I like to eat. So I want some chicken and dumplings. I was thinking about chicken and dumplings. Chicken and dumplings not necessarily a summer meal, but sometimes you want that comfort food. It's like a nice warm blanket or a warm hug. So I just wanted some chicken and dumplings, so I'm going to share my recipe of chicken and dumplings. I learned this recipe just watching my aunts, watching my mom, watching my godmother, my grandmother making this. And then when I went to culinary school, I kind of revamped it a little bit, if you will. But the dumpling recipe that I was taught in culinary school is those kind of balls, like matzo balls or whatever. I don't make it like that. This is old school. They're flat dumplings, if you will, more like noodles. So this is what I'm going to do now. This is a 2-day process. So I say, if you want to make it, you can rush it. You can skip some steps. I say, if you want to do that, do that. But I don't do that because you're going to have an authentic chicken and dumpling recipe if you take the steps that I've shown you. So yesterday, I boiled some chicken parts that I have. Anytime that I trim chicken, I cut off the little wings of chicken, I put them in the freezer until I get enough to put them in my chicken stock. And then I put it, my chicken stock consists of carrots, celery and onions, bay leaves, peppercorns, parsley, and I'm missing something. Well, it'll come to me. And I boil the chicken, hour and a half, 2 hours. You skim off the scum, the impurities will start to come and float to the top. You skim that off with a spoon, and then I put them in a container. And that's why I say it's a 2-day process, and I let it sit overnight. What you see on top is the chicken fat. So once you let it boil and you chill it overnight, the chicken fat will solidify, and you just pull this off. So once you pull all this chicken fat off, you have fat-free chicken broth, or chicken stock underneath. But I'm gonna use you know, my mom and aunts and grandmas used to use flour, water, salt, pepper, or whatever. I said, why not use some chicken stock instead of the water to add the dumplings some more flavor? And I said, why not use some of the chicken fat to make the dumplings tender? You know, they'll have a nice consistency. They're not kind of like chewy. You know, they'll be nice and tender, but they will hold together. The one trick that you got to know is that you got to have to knead, and I'll show you that a little bit once we get this together, is you're going to have to knead that dough, that dumpling dough, because you're going to develop the gluten. All flour has gluten in it, and the more you knead it, it'll hold together. Biscuits, you don't want to knead it too much because you don't want to get tough. Dumplings, you want them to hold together because once you drop it in the broth, and you boil it, you don't want all your dumplings to fall apart. You want them to hold their shape. So I have my stock, chicken fat, I got some self-rising flour. I use the self-rising flour because it has all the stuff that I need. Baking powder, baking soda, salt, and flour. If you have all-purpose flour, you're going to have to add, you know, the leavening agent. I don't want, like again, I don't want these to rise up like matzo balls, but I want them to rise up just a little bit, a tiny bit, and you'll see once we do that. And I'm going to pick this chicken, excuse me, okay, that's better. I'm going to pick the meat from the chicken that was boiled. So you see there's some remnants of parsley, you can keep that in there and stuff like that. So I'm going to go through all this chicken, pick all of that meat up, because it's chicken and dumplings. So you got to have chicken and dumplings. You got to have some chicken and dumplings. So what you want to do, I like a couple of tablespoons chicken fat. I mean, if this kind of gross you out, don't use it, but this has a lot of flavor. And I tell you, there's nothing else than frying the egg with this chicken fat right here. You put some of this chicken fat in your pan, and you got some scrambled eggs or fried eggs, chicken on chicken, or chicken on chicken. So a couple tablespoons of this. And then we'll add our chicken stock just until it comes together. Excuse me, let me get elated. spoon or something. Oh, there you go. I'm just gonna pour this in there because I can't find my ladle. Excuse me. Alright. And this is it. This is gonna be the dumpling dough right here. This will come together. But again, this is not biscuit dough, so you're gonna have to work this a lot. See, I added too much. Don't matter. A little bit more flour. Yep, so we dump this on the table. Put more flour down here. Get my bench scraper.
And what is this thing called? The red thing?
A bench scraper. A plastic bench scraper. Like I said, there's some come with metal with a black handle. Costs more than this. I think this costs like $2. But see how you scrape out cookie dough, biscuit dough, dumpling dough. Serve the same purpose. Now you're just gonna work that flour in. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna work this flour in, and that's gonna take me about 10 to 15 minutes. You gotta work this in because you want to develop that gluten for them dumplings to hold together. Once you do that, or once I do this, I'm gonna wrap it in plastic wrap and put it in the fridge to rest for at least an hour. You can do it the day before, overnight, but I'm gonna do this for at least an hour. While that's resting, I'm gonna pick the meat off the chicken, and we'll be back. After that, it's a done deal. So the hardest part is just the chicken stock. I mean, you can buy a store-bought chicken stock, but why not make your own? So there you go. I'll see you back. Continue with our chicken and dumplings. I have picked the meat off the bone from the chicken. I have the dumpling dough made. I'm going to roll that out. I have the chicken stock that I made heating up because that's what we're going to put the dumplings in. So once this is rested for at least an hour, it's been in there for about a couple hours, but you can do it the night before, overnight, but at least an hour because you want that gluten to relax so that you can roll it out with the least resistance. If you try to do it when you first knead it, it's going to want to fight you back. Excuse me, let me get a knife. We're going to do half of this right now. There's a lot of dumpling dough. I don't think I'm going to use all of that. I don't think I'm going to need all of that. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not. But so I put some bench flour down so it won't stick to the counter. And we're going to roll it out. It don't matter. You don't need to roll it in a round, a rectangle, or whatever. The important thing is to get it to the proper thickness that you want. And we're talking about you get it really, really thin. At least that's what my mom and aunts and grandmothers used to do. Get it nice and thin. So you just work it. Keep rolling it, moving it around so it's not sticking. We're almost there. Put this over again. Oh, we may need to use the whole thing. Still fighting me a little bit, Sierra. You see it? I'm gonna jump back. Come on, let go. There we go. I guess a little sticking to the counters helped me out. Again, you're just worried about not necessarily the size, just the thickness. This is where I want to be. And at that time, usually use a knife. Get myself a pizza cutter. Make it easy. You can cut it as thin, as thick as you want. And go across. There we go. Got my pot coming to a simmer. Could be another minute or two, but you actually can drop it in there. You don't want to drop your dumplings in when it's rolled and boiled, because they can break apart. But you just lay them in there. Let them boil. Once they start floating, they necessarily done. So I'm going to add this in there, see where I'm at. If I want more dumplings, I'm going to roll this out. You see how it's floating? We're going to let that cook like that. That means it's going to be light and fluffy and good. See how many dumplings I got? If I don't have enough, I don't know if I'm going to have enough, I can roll this out and put that in there. And then we're going to add some celery and onions, the picked chicken, peas and carrots. I have a cup of this chicken stock, a cup of milk, 2 granulated packages of chicken bouillon. But I'm not going to add that until after I have all the other ingredients in. Let that simmer and cook for maybe about 30 minutes. And then I'll add this and thicken it up. Because, you know, it's like a, what do you call that? Chicken pot pie. So you want that thickness. At least I like the thickness.